You know, sometimes I get some comments and in my direct messages, and they kind of get me to respond publicly. So a guy came in my direct messages, and he said that Greg, very respectfully, he had been through some of the same things I've gone through with the abuse of my father, the torturing of my father, and if you know my story, I was strapped to trees in the backyard and locked in trunks of cars and just beaten, horrifically, me and my sisters. But he asked me a question. He said, "Did you love your father?" And I had to pause for a minute because, and my father, molested my sisters and all of that stuff. Um, I said, I loved my father and I hated him. It was the most complicated relationship, you know, to love somebody that you can't stand, to love somebody that you hate, and still right now it's complicated because, you know, he did a lot of horrific stuff, and I hate this man to life, hate him to death, and but at the same time, I have some kind of compassion for him, and I know that some of y'all are gonna say that, I shouldn't have any compassion for him, and part of me thinks that I shouldn't either, but that's just not the way that I'm built. He it's just hard to explain, you know, about how you can love and hate somebody at the same time, but that's the way that I feel with my father. The abuse and the neglect and the denial of that we were even human beings, I'm very aware of that, and if he's in the worst place that he can be in his death, I wouldn't have a problem with that because he was very evil. But at the same time, I have some kind of compassion because this world, man, this world can really F you up and make you do some things you wouldn't normally do. I don't know my father's whole story. Would I have ever beaten my kids? Would I have ever raped my daughters? No, never would have done that. I don't care what the hell I'm going through. So I'm not condoning any of that mess. There was garbage. We lived a horrible life, and it was his fault, But I'm torn between, So I answered the guy, and I said, it's a complicated thing. You know, I hate my father with all of my heart, but I have compassion. I wouldn't call it love. It's a complicated thing.